I'm going to talk maybe a little bit of a negative now, and then I'll end on positives because I don't want to end on a negative. But obviously, Mohamed Salah comes on, Chloe. Listen, Mo Salah's always been greedy. He always has. Like, that's why he scored 1 million goals. But like, he's getting a bit of stick for not passing to Vert. I know you brought it up before. After the game, again, I don't know exactly the circumstances behind this, but it looked like, for example, he's done the thing where people change their social media and remove the Liverpool pictures and stuff like that. And there was, again, I don't know the full context, but it looked like there was a picture of him like giving it the apologies to the fans. It didn't look like Mo was, his usual vibrant self, and maybe he is just having a little bit of a bad time at this moment. I think it's fair to say a lot of people have been critical of Mo's performances, and I think that's been justified. I think he would be critical of his own performances. He's probably his harshest critic. But I'd like to hope that it has, and this is the online discourse of the world, and listen, we're an online platform. But I'd like to hope to think that we don't contribute to this. I think we always try and be fair. I think it's one thing. I remember Jurgen Klopp saying to Paul, like, one of the things he liked about Redmen was that we were always fair. If a player was crap, we'd say the crap, but we never went as far as abusing a player or that, because Salah's had a little bit of that. I'd like to hope that this isn't, Mo Salah's really, really struggling with this kind of thing, because this is very unlike Mohamed Salah in terms of doing this kind of thing. No, he is. He's usually the one that rallies the fan base and says, you deserve the best, and we will try and get on that path to deliver in that. I put out a tweet last night saying, for the love of God, Mo, pass the ball to Vert 2 games in a row. And that was where I left it. It was, please, lad, could you just look up and pass the ball? Because it's very much on there. There is no need to be abusing footballers. They're human beings, after all. People make mistakes. Football. Certainly not Mo Salah, given what he's done for us. 8 years of being sensational, the best player. I've read so many different articles in the last week about Mo Salah. He's missing Trent. He's finished altogether. We've made a mistake giving him a contract. All sorts of nonsense. I mean, he's going through a bad time, like and footballers do. But the number of old strikers there are around Europe, all still knocking them in their mid to late 30s. There's lots left in Mo Salah, and he's got new teammates around him. He's probably struggling as much as they've been, to try and settle. And he'll come good. Whether he ever gets to the point where we should play him every game is debatable, I think, given his age. But, he's going to make contributions to this team and hopefully to winning titles this season. Some of the discourse around him, and actually the manager got a little bit of this as well, and I was on the build-up yesterday to the watch-along. Again, this is a very small minority of people, and it's the internet, so people always go hyperbole. They turn the dials up to 11. It was disrespectful, some of the things that were being said about this guy. And it's like, yes, he is in bad form. Undeniably, Mo is not having his best period. And it's chalk and cheese to 12 months ago when he was the best player in the world, or one of Ballon d'Or favourites at one point. I think he was. The main reason why Liverpool won the Premier League last year was because of how good Mo Salah was. He's had a dip, and whether that's mental, fatigue, a combination of everything, the changes around, and maybe we don't know, but I felt some of it was disrespectful. And again, maybe it's something. Maybe we're putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, and this social media stuff isn't what we think, but usually when this kind of points towards that way, Chloe, I think it's important to recognise there is a difference between a player being out of form and a player being a bad footballer. And some of the things that I've read and listened to and seen, like John read the stuff online about Mo Salah in the last few weeks, it's baffling for a fella who, he's in the gym at 2 a.m. every day to get his body right so he can score a goal for Liverpool in the next game. And, he's in the ice baths at like 4 a.m. and he looks after... He's not coming out with walking sticks, is he? He's fit as anyone. He's having a bad patch. Footballers have bad patches, and I think the sooner rather than later, managers have bad patches. Arne Slot isn't a bad manager because Liverpool have lost 4 games and had a bit of a niffy start of the season. They're going through something, like it happens, it's ups and downs. It's never just a linear straight up. If it was, we'd be the best football team of all time. We'd never lose a game. I just really, really hope, Chloe, to go back to it, that this isn't Mo Salah feeling underappreciated or like he's been on the end of like abusive stuff from a fan base who literally should idolise the ground he walks on, because I think, I've always said this, I know people disagree, I think he's the best player we've ever had. I think football these days, the demands on these players is so much more than it's ever been. I really, really hope that someone, and it might be for the first time, that someone needs to go and put their arm around Mo Salah, because it's often Mo Salah putting their arms around somebody. And listen, he wasn't great yesterday when he come on, but I think that fact that he's felt the need, it looks like, to make this kind of stance or whatever, it's a real shame, that.
Yeah, it is, because like we've said there, you know, what he's offered Liverpool for the past 8 years, he doesn't deserve to be that. You know, a player's getting old. He's less used in this system than he has been in previous systems, which means less chances come his way. And look, we can all be frustrated and a little bit annoyed at the fact that he's not passed the ball twice in two games of football where Liverpool should score. That's absolutely sound. To go and attack someone is just, it's mental to me. And to be honest, I didn't see all this stuff. I think I put in the chat, like, what's gone on? Because once the game had finished, I simply left social media, went and got into bed, and that was me done. Like, I don't go looking for things. I think people go looking for things, and yeah, Mo Salah's clearly not in the best. I don't think he's in the best headspace.
I wonder, see, his form really dropped off round about April, you know, last season. And I wonder whether he'd won us the title and he'd then relaxed, and having relaxed and then having Diego Jota's death come into it. I wonder whether he's just sort of let himself get too low, you know what I mean? And he's struggling to get back up. Yeah. You know, because the way he played in the first 6 months last season was just phenomenal. You know, you shouldn't forget how brilliant he was.
Actually, I think I'm going to say this again. His own manager will have criticised him for not passing the ball. Yeah. And his own manager will have criticised some of his performances. He is his own worst critic. I bet you now he's fuming at some of the things he's done this year. The miss against United, you could see on his face how angry he was at himself. But this is what I don't get right, and I'm like, we're Liverpool supporters, we want all our players to do well. Abusing your footballers is not going to make them play any better next week. It's going to make it worse. And yeah, I really, really hope, like I say, criticism is absolutely fine. I sat on a show last week and said I wouldn't pick him at this moment in time.
That's fine. To have your opinion about things like that is absolutely fine. And
a bit of time on the bench might do him a world of good, just to get his head right. But unfortunately, it looks like his head might not be right at this moment in time. So, yeah, I think, like I say, just...
And the thing about not passing, you know, yes, he should have passed, but he honestly believed he would score. That's the thing about Mo Salah. You know, he always believes totally in his own ability.
But I hope he does now, because, like I say, again, maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I really, really hope. I think I saw some things like, let's get round Mo Salah. We've never had to do this before. It's always been him giving us a G up, but it's been him talking about his teammates, or like, don't disrespect him. You know, when Núñez and Diaz went in the summer and there was a post and Salah's like, whoa, these are Premier League champions you're talking about. Yeah. I think some people need to just, be a bit more respectful to one of, if not the greatest Liverpool players of all time.
Also, another question, I think you said there, like, you know, I think he'll still come back, even if Salah does not reach the heights of what he's done in the past 8 years. He's gave absolutely everything.
Mate, you should have a statue and a stand. Yes. And like, he's the best. Like,
he has been one of the best footballers to ever grace Liverpool Football Club, to ever grace the Premier League. And I think sometimes you can take it for granted, and you maybe don't realise until after the fact, until you don't have that anymore, and you look back at the compilations and you look back at the time he spent. Even if Mo Salah has fell off a cliff and you know, doesn't reach the heights anymore of what he's, you know, held himself to, that is also okay. He's just gotten to that point. He's gave absolutely everything for 8 years. He's been sensational for 8 years. And at some point that has to stop. And if that is this season, okay, that's fine. We were already trying to find a world without Mo Salah because he had 2 years left on his contract. And, you know, who knows, Liverpool might have wanted to cash in, you know, after a year if someone gave us big money. You just don't know. But my point being is, no matter whether we've seen the best of Mo Salah or not, like, he still gave everything for 8 years, and he's been one of the best footballers in the past 8 years. He deserved the Ballon d'Or last year for me. He didn't get that, and he's underappreciated by everybody else as well. So let's us as a fan base not do that as well. If you can be angry at the fact that he's not passed, you can be angry at all of those things. Don't go and attack someone, especially not someone who has been one of maybe Liverpool's best player for the past 8 years. It just doesn't need to happen.
100%. Fingers crossed. Everyone getting right behind Mo. I'd love to see him back firing at the weekend, back in the goals, back in the actors. But if Mo Salah was apologising, which a guy looked like, Mo Salah's got fucking
Also,
nothing to apologise for.
On that, it didn't help because journalists were putting out that he apparently went straight down the tunnel and didn't even acknowledge our away support.
He did.
And then away fans in the ground were going, no, he was the first to come over. He just left. He came over, he did whatever that means, and then he went down the tunnel. But he was the first to go over to our sets of fans. He did, you know, the false report and also doesn't help the situation because then everyone bounces on the back of that and goes, well, this is another thing for me to be angry at. So that also didn't help. For
clarity, I know most of our Redmen, I know the Redmen Plus fan base, the Redmen Plus subscribers aren't this, but like, pass it to your mates if they are, or you're in group chats or WhatsApp chats. Don't abuse Liverpool players. They play for Liverpool. We need them to be good. It'll be great if they could be good.
Criticise them, absolutely. Abuse them, never.
I've never understood why anyone would criticise. Last season when Trent got booed, I didn't understand it. You know, I knew why people were angry at him, but he was still a Liverpool player in a Liverpool shirt coming onto Anfield pitch.
Didn't help. Doesn't help Liverpool win games, does it? When you're on your own players' backs.
When they cross that line, then you support them to the hilt. You know,
fingers crossed. Like I say, stop abusing Liverpool players, you idiots, and not you guys. Pass that on to your mates. Clip that out and pass it on to any of your mates. Stop abusing Liverpool players, you absolute clowns. That was a clip from the Final Word show. If you'd like to check out the full show, head on over to redmenplus.com.